Something ugly happened in Cleveland, and the more people dig, the worse it looks. What started as a normal coaching change has turned into one of the most talked about locker room scandals in the league. A young quarterback with superstar potential, a coaching staff that never fully believed in him, and an offensive coordinator now pushed out the door with questions following him everywhere. And at the center of it all sits one name, Shedeur Sanders. For months, fans were told a story. They were told there was a fair quarterback competition. They were told every decision was about winning. They were told the coaches were doing what was best for the future of the Browns. But behind closed doors, rumors were piling up that something completely different was happening. Whispers of favoritism, talk of politics inside the building, claims that certain people never wanted Shedeur to be the guy, no matter what he showed on the field. And now, after Kevin Stefanski is gone and Tommy Rees has been wiped from the head coach search, the curtain is starting to lift. Think about how fast this all flipped. 1 minute Rees was being hyped as a rising offensive mind, a young coach with big-time college pedigree, someone who could shape the next era in Cleveland. The next minute, he's reportedly out, not just as a candidate, but possibly out of the organization completely. That doesn't happen for no reason. Teams don't erase coaches overnight unless something deeper is going on. The real question everyone is asking is simple. What did they see that we did? Because on the surface, the story never added up. Shedeur comes in with huge expectations, flashes real talent late in the season, wins games people didn't expect him to win, yet all year he's treated like an afterthought. Meanwhile, another quarterback keeps getting chances, keeps getting first-team reps, keeps getting protected by the staff. Fans noticed it. Analysts noticed it. Even players, according to reports, could feel the tension in the building. And when a locker room starts questioning coaches, the clock is already ticking. What makes this even crazier is how quickly the organization changed direction. Jimmy Haslam didn't just fire Stefanski and call it a day. He started cleaning house, interviewing new voices, bringing in candidates who have zero connection to the old regime. That's not a soft reset, that's a full rejection of how things were being run. So was this really just about football? Or was there something personal going on with how Shedeur Sanders was handled? Some say Rees was too loyal to Stefanski. Others claim he never truly bought into Sanders as the future. And there are even louder voices suggesting the so-called competition was never real to begin with. Whatever the truth is, one thing is clear. The Browns are trying to bury an entire chapter of their own history. And when teams move that fast, it usually means they're running from something. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay locked in on all the latest NFL drama, make sure you hit that like button. It helps the video reach more people who love this content just like you. And if you're new here, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another update, reaction, or storyline as it unfolds in real time. I also want to hear from you in the comments. What do you think about Shedeur Sanders' performance and the Browns' collapse? Drop your thoughts below and let's talk about it. And don't forget to share this video with friends who follow the NFL. Your support truly keeps the channel moving forward. But that wasn't the whole story. Before all the drama, before the rumors and the fallout, Tommy Rees was supposed to be one of the smartest young minds in football. His story didn't start with controversy. It started with promise. A former quarterback, a fast-rising coach, a guy who seemed destined to climb the NFL ladder quicker than most. Rees built his reputation in college football, first at Notre Dame and then at Alabama. 2 powerhouse programs, 2 pressure cookers where only the sharpest survive. At Notre Dame, he was trusted to run the offense for one of the biggest brands in the sport. At Alabama, he worked under Nick Saban, the gold standard of coaching, learning how elite programs are supposed to operate. That resume alone had NFL teams paying attention. When Cleveland brought him in, the move was sold as a steal. A young offensive thinker with modern ideas. Someone who could connect with quarterbacks, design creative schemes, and help push the Browns into a new era. Kevin Stefanski reportedly saw him as more than just another assistant. He saw him as his guy. The two became close fast, and Rees quickly moved from a background role to real influence inside the building. By 2025, he wasn't just helping the offense, he was helping shape it. To the outside world, it looked like the perfect setup. A respected head coach and his hand-picked coordinator working together to fix a struggling franchise. Rees was praised in the media as calm, detail-oriented, and advanced for his age. Some insiders even called him a future head coach in the making. Cleveland fans were told this was part of the long-term plan. But rising fast in the NFL can be dangerous. The higher you go, the more decisions you're tied to, and the more blame finds you when things fall apart. Because while Rees was climbing the ladder, the Browns' offense wasn't climbing with him. Games were slipping away. The quarterback situation was getting messy, and behind the scenes, questions were starting to swirl about who was really pulling the strings. Was Rees running his own vision, or was he simply protecting Stefanski? Was he developing young talent, or just following orders? Those questions didn't matter when everything looked stable. But the moment the losses piled up, people started looking at him differently. And then Shedeur Sanders entered the picture. That's when Rees went from rising star to one of the most debated names in Cleveland. Fans began dissecting every decision he made, the play calls, the practice reps, the way the quarterbacks were handled. The same resume that once looked impressive suddenly became ammunition for critics asking one brutal question. If this guy was such an offensive genius, why did the most talented quarterback on the roster feel like an afterthought? The rise that looked unstoppable started to feel fragile. And once the locker room energy shifted, everything Rees had built in Cleveland was suddenly on shaky ground. And what happened next would change his entire future. The Browns had one mission in 2025, finally get it right at quarterback and build a team that could compete. On paper, they had the pieces, a talented roster, a promising young quarterback in Shedeur Sanders, and an offensive coordinator many believed could be the next big thing. But by midseason, the cracks were undeniable. Games were slipping away, the offense looked stagnant. And the locker room, let's just say the vibe wasn't good. Players weren't just frustrated, they were confused. They didn't know who was in charge, or if the people calling the shots even believed in them. Then came the bombshell. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, was out, fired, gone. After a season that many expected to be competitive, the Browns decided to make a clean break. For an organization that has struggled for consistency for years, this was more than a simple personnel change. It was a declaration that the old system was over. On the surface, fans assumed it was a performance decision. Stefanski hadn't delivered enough wins and the team needed fresh leadership. But insiders say it ran deeper than that. The Browns' front office wasn't just frustrated with results on the field, they were frustrated with the culture behind the scenes. Reports suggest the energy inside the building had shifted. The locker room wasn't just unhappy with Stefanski, it was tense, divided, and questioning every play call. Players reportedly felt like their development wasn't a priority. And when you combine that with a quarterback situation that seemed deliberately mishandled, it became clear there was a systemic problem. What made Stefanski's firing even more chaotic was timing. The team was still in the middle of evaluating their next head coach, and suddenly the entire structure of leadership was in flux. Offensive coordinators, assistant coaches, and position coaches, all of whom had aligned themselves with Stefanski, were now under scrutiny. In particular, Tommy Rees, who had been Stefanski's right-hand man and trusted confidant, suddenly found himself in the spotlight. And this is where the drama intensified. For months, there had been whispers that Rees wasn't fully aligned with the needs of the team. Some said he had prioritized loyalty over development. Others suggested he was complicit in holding Shedeur Sanders back from getting first-team reps, effectively limiting his opportunities to succeed. While nothing was officially confirmed, the combination of poor results, a tense locker room, and these swirling rumors made Rees a lightning rod for criticism. By the time the Browns officially announced Stefanski's exit, the ripple effect was already being felt. Rees was suddenly being scrutinized like never before. Players' voices started leaking, insiders began confirming what fans had speculated for weeks, and the media started framing this as not just a coaching change, but a complete culture reset. And that reset would not only determine who got to run the team next, It would also decide whether Shedeur Sanders finally got the chance he deserved, or if history was about to repeat itself with a young quarterback stuck in a system that never fully supported him. The stakes couldn't be higher, and what happened in the weeks following Stefanski's firing would shock everyone. Just when it seemed like Tommy Rees might finally step into the spotlight, the NFL threw another curveball. After Stefanski was fired, Rees, the offensive coordinator who had been touted as a rising star, got his chance to interview for the Browns' head coaching position. For any young coach, this is the dream. A shot at leading your own team, calling the shots, building a culture from the ground up. On paper, Rees looked perfect for the role. He had experience at Alabama and Notre Dame. He was credited with bringing innovative ideas to Cleveland's offense. Analysts and insiders had repeatedly called him a future head coach. And yet, insiders say that dream evaporated faster than anyone expected. Multiple sources now claim that Rees was effectively eliminated from consideration after that first interview. Not delayed. Not "we'll get back to you," crossed off the list. Done. In stark contrast, other candidates, including Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator, were being called back for second interviews, as the Browns rushed to secure their interest before other teams could hire them. What happened? Why did Rees go from rising star to not interested almost overnight? Reports suggest it had less to do with his talent and more to do with what the organization saw behind the curtain. While Rees had been Stefanski's right-hand man, his loyalty may have become a liability. Sources allege that he stayed aligned with Stefanski's decisions, even when those choices were controversial, especially regarding Shedeur Sanders and how he was used on the field. Some insiders hint that Rees may have played a role in limiting Sanders' first-team reps, essentially backing the decision to favor the other quarterback. Whether that was intentional or just following orders, it left a mark on the Browns' evaluation of his leadership potential. After all, a head coach isn't just about X's and O's. It's about trust, judgment, and the ability to develop talent. And if the team believed Rees had stood in the way of their franchise quarterback's growth, that raises a huge red flag. The situation became even more striking when you consider the contrast with Jim Schwartz. Schwartz reportedly has the full support of the locker room, including key players like Pro Bowl defensive leader Denzel Ward. The Browns moved quickly to secure him for second interviews, showing how seriously they value locker room respect and player buy-in, something Rees may have struggled to maintain. So what does this mean for Cleveland? Rees' elimination sends a clear signal. The Browns are prioritizing a cultural reset over continuity. They're willing to pass on someone who has pedigree and experience if they feel he doesn't align with the new vision. In other words, it's not enough to be a talented coordinator. The organization wants leaders who can build trust, develop talent, and most importantly, support the quarterback who represents their future. For Rees, this is a career-defining moment. From potential head coach to sidelined almost overnight, the shift is dramatic. And while some rumors suggest he may follow Stefanski if the former head coach lands elsewhere, one thing is clear: Cleveland is done with the old guard. But this story doesn't end here. Because while Rees was being passed over, the quarterback at the center of all this drama was still waiting for his real chance. A chance that could redefine the Browns' future. At the center of all this chaos isn't just a coach. It's a young quarterback named Shedeur Sanders. If you thought the drama was about coordinators and interviews, think again. The real story has always been about him. For months, fans and insiders have debated, was Shedeur given a fair shot, or was the competition rigged before it even began? Here, what we know. Shedeur entered the season with high expectations. Scouts raved about his talent. Analysts predicted he could change the Browns' trajectory. And yet, week after week, he found himself on the sidelines while another quarterback received the first-team reps. To the casual observer, it might have looked like a normal development plan. But those who were paying attention noticed something different. The competition that the coaches promised never felt real. Reports suggest that the offensive staff, including Tommy Rees, may have been aligned with previous leadership decisions, favoring the other quarterback over Shedeur. Whether intentional or not, the effect was the same. Shedeur wasn't being fully tested. He wasn't getting meaningful practice reps with the starters. The clock was ticking, games were being lost, and opportunities to develop the franchise quarterback were slipping away. Meanwhile, the public narrative painted a picture of a fair fight. Competition is healthy, fans were told. But insiders hint at a very different story, a system where Shedeur was subtly kept from showing his full potential. The contrast between his limited reps and his late-season performances is telling. When he finally got on the field, he won 2 of his last 3 starts against playoff-caliber teams, with minimal preparation and a depleted roster. Imagine what he could have done with the full support of the coaching staff from the beginning. The controversy isn't just about talent, it's about trust. A franchise quarterback needs coaches who will invest time, believe in him, and tailor the offense to his strengths. If the coaches don't fully buy in, even the most talented QB can struggle. For Shedeur, every snap he didn't take was a missed opportunity to learn, grow, and cement his place. And the fans, they could see it. Analysts and insiders, including some who had defended the coaching staff all season, started speaking out, saying the competition was not equitable. Now, with Stefanski gone and Rees eliminated from the head coach search, the situation has shifted dramatically. The Browns are finally looking to bring in coaches who want to develop Shedeur, who will give him the reps he needs, and who will design an offense around his strengths. The quarterback who once seemed stifled now has a chance to thrive in a system that actually believes in him. But the controversy leaves lingering questions. Was Shedeur ever truly allowed to compete on a level playing field? How many games, reps, and opportunities were lost due to coaching politics? And perhaps the biggest question of all, can Cleveland finally get it right? Or will history repeat itself with the young QB's talent being limited by those in charge? The answers are still coming. And what happens next will determine whether Shedeur Sanders finally gets the chance he's been waiting for, or whether this controversy will define the start of his career. Here, where the story gets really complicated and controversial, it's one thing for a coach to make a tough decision about which quarterback starts. It's another thing entirely when the person calling the plays might not even believe in the player they're supposed to develop. That's the question everyone has been asking about Tommy Rees. Did he really believe in Shedeur Sanders? Rees wasn't just any offensive coordinator. He was handpicked by Kevin Stefanski, elevated quickly, and trusted with the entire offense. On paper, that should mean he had the responsibility and the influence to help the team's quarterback succeed. But insiders and fans have started piecing together a different narrative. Some reports suggest Rees may have aligned too closely with Stefanski's decisions, even when they worked against Sanders' development. He didn't push back. He didn't advocate for giving Sanders meaningful first-team reps. He followed the chain of command, and in doing so, may have become a roadblock instead of a guide. Think about what that means. For a young quarterback like Shedeur, every practice rep matters. Every snap in a first-team drill is an opportunity to grow. If the offensive coordinator isn't in your corner, if he's loyal to someone else's agenda, suddenly, every mistake feels magnified and every success is questioned. Reports claim that while Rees was designing plays, Sanders was often on the sideline, running only limited packages, while Dylan Gabriel got most of the reps. The competition everyone was told about. According to insiders, it may have been a facade. To be fair, no one is saying Rees intentionally sabotaged Sanders. Some sources even suggest Rees believed he was following the best path for the team. But the perception, both inside the locker room and outside, matters just as much. Players reportedly noticed it too. The energy in the building, the whispers in meetings, the subtle ways the offense ran, it all pointed to a lack of full confidence in Sanders from those who should have been guiding him. And here's the kicker. Sanders didn't just sit there quietly. When he finally got the chance to play, he stepped up immediately, winning 2 of his last 3 starts against playoff teams, often with limited preparation and a roster plagued by injuries. That performance sent a clear message. The talent was there. The question wasn't whether Sanders could play, it was whether the coaches believed he could. Rees' role in this controversy highlights a bigger truth about the NFL. Coaching isn't just about X's and O's. It's about people, trust, and culture. A franchise quarterback can't thrive if the leadership around him is divided or hesitant. And now, with Rees eliminated from the head coaching search, the Browns have an opportunity to bring in coaches who genuinely buy into Sanders, potential coaches who will invest in him, design plays for him, and give him the reps he deserves. The real question lingers. If Rees had truly believed in Sanders from the start, could the season have looked completely different? Or was Sanders always fighting an uphill battle against the very people who were supposed to help him succeed? The answer might finally come as Cleveland rebuilds the offense, and as Sanders finally gets the leadership he needs to shine. With Stefanski gone and Rees eliminated from the head coach search, the Browns are finally at a crossroads. For years, Cleveland has struggled with consistency, particularly when it comes to developing quarterbacks. Shedeur Sanders showed flashes of brilliance, but the culture around him often worked against his growth. Now, the organization has a chance to reset, not just with personnel, but with an entirely new philosophy. The front office, led by Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Barry, is reportedly prioritizing locker room respect and player buy-in above all else. This isn't just about wins and losses anymore. It's about creating an environment where the team's most talented players can thrive. That means bringing in coaches who believe in Sanders, who are willing to design an offense around him, and who are committed to nurturing his potential instead of protecting old alliances. One candidate who keeps popping up in reports is Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator. Schwartz reportedly has full support from the locker room, including key players like Pro Bowl defensive leader Denzel Ward. The Browns moved quickly to schedule him for second interviews, and it seems like an urgent effort to lock him in before other teams make their move. This is a clear shift from the past. When coaches were evaluated mainly on reputation and pedigree, now culture, trust, and belief in the quarterback are top priorities. On the offensive side, the Browns are exploring options as well. Former coordinators like Todd Monken are reportedly on the radar, along with other creative offensive minds. The goal is clear. Bring in someone who can build an offense that suits Sanders' strengths, surrounding him with weapons, protection, and opportunities to succeed. It's about designing plays with him in mind, not forcing him into a system he doesn't fit. This approach extends beyond coaching. The front office is reportedly looking at draft picks and free agent signings with the same philosophy. Offensive linemen, wide receivers, and other playmakers who can complement Sanders are being prioritized. The message is unmistakable. Cleveland is finally committing to making Sanders the centerpiece of their franchise. The significance of this change cannot be overstated. For years, the Browns' quarterback development has been inconsistent at best and toxic at worst. Now, the culture is shifting. Coaches who failed to invest in Sanders' growth are being removed. Players who weren't being heard are being listened to. And the quarterback himself, who once felt stifled, now has the chance to thrive under leadership that believes in him. But the road ahead isn't without risks. The Browns still need to hire the right head coach, finalize their draft strategy, and build an offense capable of competing at the highest level. Missteps here could undo all the progress. Yet, the steps they've already taken, firing Stefanski, eliminating Rees, pursuing coaches who inspire trust, suggest a serious commitment to long-term success rather than short-term fixes. For Shedeur Sanders, this could be the turning point of his career. For the Browns, it's an opportunity to finally break free from a cycle of missed potential. And for fans, it's a chance to watch a franchise rebuild in real time, one decision at a time, with one player at the center of the story. The story of Cleveland, Tommy Rees, and Shedeur Sanders isn't just about coaches being fired or interviews being canceled. It's about the fragility of talent when the people around it fail to believe. For months, Sanders' potential was overshadowed by politics, loyalty, and a system that prioritized protecting the status quo over nurturing the future of the franchise. He wasn't given a fair shot, and the fallout shows exactly how high the cost of that can be. Now the landscape is shifting. Stefanski is gone. Rees has been eliminated from the head coach search, and the Browns are actively rebuilding a coaching staff that genuinely wants Sanders to succeed. This isn't just a personnel change, it's a cultural reset. The organization is signaling loudly that loyalty to old regimes won't outweigh talent, that results matter, and that the quarterback who represents the future must have every tool to thrive. The stakes couldn't be higher. For Shedeur, This is a chance to finally prove himself in an environment built around him, with coaches who design plays for his strengths, players who trust him, and leadership that actively supports his growth. For the Browns, this is a test of their vision. Can they build a winning culture, or will they revert to old patterns that stifled talent and created friction? And for the fans, it's a moment to watch history unfold in real time. The rise of a quarterback who almost didn't get the chance he deserved. What makes this era in Cleveland so compelling is the human element. Behind every coaching decision, every practice rep, and every snap, there's a story of trust, belief, and opportunity. Tommy Rees' rise and fall is part of that narrative, but Sanders' story is only just beginning. He's the thread that ties all of this together, the one who suffered the consequences of others, loyalties and mistakes, and now stands on the edge of a new chapter. The Browns' front office has made bold moves, and they've sent a clear message. The old culture that hindered development and allowed bias to influence opportunity is over. They're bringing in coaches who respect players, empower talent, and will invest in Sanders' growth. Every interview, every draft pick, every free agent signing this offseason will be evaluated through the lens of one question. Will it help Shedeur Sanders succeed? In the end, this story isn't just about firing coaches or fixing a quarterback competition. It's about accountability, change, and potential finally meeting opportunity. Cleveland has recognized its mistakes, acted decisively, and created a chance for something remarkable to happen. A chance for Shedeur Sanders to shine without limits, for coaches to lead with vision, and for a franchise to redefine its future. And while questions remain, will they hire the right head coach? Will Sanders reach the heights everyone believes he can? One thing is clear. The Browns are committed to building an environment where talent can flourish. The old politics are gone, the distractions have been removed, and the spotlight is firmly on the quarterback who deserves it most. This is the start of something new. The era of second chances is here. And for Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns, the next chapter could very well define their future for years to come.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps this channel grow and lets us know you love this kind of content. And hey, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with your friends, your group chats, or anyone who loves football as much as you do. The more the conversation spreads, the better it gets. Most importantly, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss when we drop fresh stories, wild rumors, or breaking updates that the mainstream media won't talk about.